Welcome to this explainer. Look, I'm really thrilled you're joining us today because as we walk through this material, I want you to prepare for a pretty profound perspective shift. For a lot of us, managing wealth comes with a built-in sense of anxiety, right? It's this constant lingering focus on increasing revenue and reducing costs. We naturally tend to view giving our money away as a direct production of our hard-earned wealth. But today, we are going to explore Islamic finance management, which completely flips that idea on its head. Instead of a loss, sharing is actually viewed as an incredibly powerful spiritual investment with massive long-term impacts, both materially and non-materially. My goal is that by the time we wrap up here, you'll see your finances not just as, numbers on a screen, but as a gateway to lasting blessings.
To map out our journey today, we're going to follow a clear 5-part structure. First, the mindset shift. Second, defining the pillars. Third, the spiritual ROI. Fourth, budgeting and channeling. And finally, generational habits. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Mindset Shift. Reframing Wealth.
Okay, let's dive into this. It all begins with understanding the fundamental tension between our standard human logic and the concept of spiritual blessing. If we look at basic mathematics, the formula is crystal clear. 10 minus 1 equals 9. When we give a portion of our wealth away, our balance goes down. And honestly, it's totally understandable why so many people literally fear poverty or excessive loss. Psychologically, it just comes from an intense attachment to our property. But Islamic financial logic operates on a completely different plane. In Islam, the wealth a person possesses is fundamentally a trust from Allah. That means your power over your assets is relative. It's not absolute. Because of that, sharing is not a reduction at all. It is a spiritual investment. When you factor in the concept of blessing, participating in this sharing actually brings peace of mind and balances your entire financial system. Without that blessing, even massive wealth will somehow feel like it's never quite enough.
To truly understand the scale of this investment, consider this profound verse from Surah Al-Baqarah 261. The parable of one who inflicts his wealth in the way of Allah is like a grain of seeds that grows 7 stalks. In each stalk there are 100 seeds. Just let that resonance sink in for a second. You give one single seed, and it multiplies into 700. This is the ultimate multiplier metaphor of Islamic charity. It spiritually frames exactly why sharing is actually a highly profitable endeavor. God will replace the wealth you spend in completely unexpected ways. Moving on to Section 2, Defining the Pillars, Forms of Sharing.
Now that we've got the mindset down, we need to clear up some common confusions because there are 3 distinct terms used for sharing in Islam, and the crucial point is understanding the fundamental differences in their laws and forms. First up, we have Zakat. This one is mandatory, a fardhu-ayn, meaning a certain part of a Muslim's wealth literally must be paid if certain strict conditions are met. These conditions include nisab, which is the minimum amount of wealth you must have, haul, which is the time period, generally 1 year, and mustahik, meaning it can only go to 8 specific groups mentioned in the Quran. It is a very structured process. Next is Infaq. Now this is sunnah. That means it's highly recommended but not strictly mandatory in the same way, although providing for your family does fall under mandatory infaq. It's much more flexible than zakat. There's no strict limitation on nisab or haul, and it's specifically focused on spending material goods or treasures, like helping build a mosque or assisting disaster victims. And finally, alms. This has the widest coverage of all 3. It's also sunnah, but it is totally free, can be done absolutely anytime and to anyone. And here's the best part. It is not limited to money. Any form of kindness is considered alms. That means feeding someone, moving an obstacle out of the road, or hey, even just giving a genuine warm smile to others.
Section 3, the spiritual ROI, profitable investment.
So we know the how, but let's look at the why. Why doesn't giving away your treasure actually reduce it? Well, the general principle here teaches us a brilliant lesson. True financial success isn't just measured by the amount of wealth you can hoard, it's measured by the magnitude of benefits you provide to others. By sharing, you are actively performing 4 absolutely vital functions. First, you're cleaning your wealth and your soul from greed. Second, you are cultivating profound gratitude for the blessings you've already received. Third, you are building strong social solidarity. And fourth, you're actively reducing the wealth gap and social inequality between the rich and the poor. You are literally helping to create a favorable, healthy balance in society. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about, because wealth is fundamentally a trust from Allah. A small amount of blessed wealth will actually feel like enough. It satisfies your needs and it brings tangible benefits to your life. But on the flip side, an abundance of wealth without those blessings, it's going to deplete rapidly, just slipping right through your fingers without leaving any clear positive residue.
Furthermore, there's this really fascinating concept that sharing acts as a form of spiritual insurance. Many believe it actively protects us from unexpected disasters or sudden massive financial burdens like surprise medical bills. But this ROI, this return on investment, isn't just external. Science actually backs this up. Participating in giving releases endorphins, what's often called the helper's high. It literally provides mind and soul calm, which in turn makes a person much more productive and prudent in managing the wealth they still hold on to.
Section 4. Budgeting and channeling. Practical steps. Now, what's really interesting about this approach is how practical it actually gets. We are pivoting from the philosophical right into the actionable. To ensure your goodwill doesn't accidentally interfere with your own financial stability, sharing requires careful planning. We shouldn't just wait around to see what leftover wealth we might happen to have at the end of the month. Instead, prepare for it from the very beginning. Make it a routine. Include your Zakat, Infaq, and Alms right there in your annual spending list, allocating, for example, 2.5 to 10% of your total income. If you aren't familiar with doing this, no problem. Just start with a small, gradual allocation. What really matters is the harmony and the consistency of the habit. Understanding that wealth has its own cycle helps fight off that psychological fear of deficiency. And please, remember this, sharing in limited conditions is incredibly powerful. The true essence of sharing is tested the most when we ourselves have very little. Imagine someone who only has, say, 20,000 rupiah to their name, and they intentionally choose to give away 10,000. The spiritual value of that gift is astronomically higher than some massive sum of money tossed out by someone with excess wealth who feels zero sense of sacrifice. The value of a gift isn't determined by the nominal number printed on a banknote. It's determined by the deep sincerity and sacrifice behind it. Doing this proves once and for all that you are not enslaved by material possessions. So, once you've set your budget and your intentions, the final step is ensuring it reaches the exact right target to maximize its benefit. Step 1 is direct priority. Always look to your close family, your cousins, or your needy neighbors first before looking further afield. Step 2, utilize trusted institutions. Keep an eye out for transparent social foundations or Zakat collectors that have really clear commission programs. And Step 3, aim for productive support. Whenever possible, try to distribute your assistance in a way that creates self-sustainability. Giving a little bit of seed capital for a small business venture often has a way longer-lasting impact than just a one-time handout for consumption. A small, effective, well-placed gift can entirely change the trajectory of a person's life.
Section 5. Generational habits. Teaching the family.
So how do we ensure these financial practices extend beyond our own wallets and outlive us? Well, it all starts in the foundational unit of our community, the family. Instilling these values of generosity into our kids and family members from a very early age is absolutely crucial. By actively showing and modeling sharing attitudes, we develop lasting characters that deeply care and who are sensitive to the suffering of others around them. It acts as a powerful preventative measure against egoism and petty attitudes ever taking root in our homes. Basically, it creates a lasting legacy of social responsibility. Which brings us to our conclusion today. Zakat, Infaq, and Alms, they aren't just acts of worship. They are the ultimate means to cleanse your treasures and cultivate a mindset of gratitude. They strengthen that vital balance between what you need personally and your responsibility to society. So I want to leave you with this final thought to really reflect on. In the end, good food and good finances are not just about having an abundance. They must also be nourishing, and they have to bring vast goodness to the world around us. So ask yourself, is your wealth just abundant, or is it also blessed? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep sharing.